I'm Pia Valencia, and today we're going to be talking about the book Sitff by Mary Roach. This book is about the result of human cadavers. This book is divided into 12 different chapters.
The first chapter is called "A Head is a Terrible Thing to Waste." The second chapter is called "Crimes of Anatomy." The third chapter is called "Life After Death." The fourth one is called "Dead Man Driving." The fifth chapter is called "Beyond the Black Box."
There are 7 more chapters we need to get to, but we need to get on with this video. Sitff is organized in many different chapters to demonstrate the many results of human cadavers in and outside of the medical field. This book also isn't ordered in chronological order, but it does result to what the author will do with her remains. One tool the author frequently uses throughout the book are footnotes. These footnotes help me understand as a reader what she is talking about. An example of this is when she writes on page 106, cases according to a 1979 article in the American Journal of Surgery, the stomachs gave out of 4,000 cc's or about 4 quarts. The next section of this TED Talk is rhetorical analysis. Throughout the book, I realized that Roach used the tone of friendliness and also witty humor to lighten up the very dark idea of death. Here's an example of Mary Roach using the tone of friendliness and witty humor in the chapter Eat Me. What was going on? Did the blind masseuse moonlight as a cab driver? This was not good. I was not okay. I believe Mary Roach used this lighthearted tone throughout the book to help readers understand that it's okay to not be so serious about death. With the help of her tone, this book was actually really easy to read because it taught me that she was just a normal person who just saw a human cadaver as something we would, as something as peculiar, as weird, as strange, and she helped us realize that it's okay to be thinking weird stuff about death. And that's why I kept reading this book and kept going at it, because it was just so relatable, and I thought she was just a normal person to me, and that really fascinated me throughout the whole book. I honestly thought this book would be really boring and scientific and just full of just boring and serious stuff, but Mary Roach uses this tone and it made me relax and it made me immune to the idea of death. As I were before, I was so uncomfortable about human corpses and death itself, where I never really had the thought of reading a book like Sitff until now, and I was really changed by it. Since this book is scientific based, logos is mostly used because science cannot be existing without logic. While there are many examples of logos in this book, Mary Roach uses logos in the chapter Life After Death, where she explains decomposition. To understand how these variables affect the timeline of decomposition, you must be intimately acquainted with your control scenario, basic unadulterated human decay. Mary Roach uses logos throughout her book to demonstrate to readers that logic is used throughout the idea of death. So basically, this happens because of this, and lastly, this happens. Death is a chronological process. Next, we are going to talk about the use of outside sources. Since this book is scientifically based, use of outside sources is used a lot. What these sources tell me about her writing is that it is authentic. The use of her sources helps readers understand that her book is credible, authentic, and legit. Lastly, this book use of outside sources helps readers know that it is a legit book to use when you are researching human cadavers. My personal thoughts on this book is that it was really entertaining and shed light on the dark idea of death. So there are some parts of this book I really enjoyed, but there are also some parts of this book that I had to just sit down and cringe and be disgusted for a minute, because I wasn't immune to this idea of death until after I finished the book. Mary Roach's tone of lightheartedness and witty humor helped me understand that death can not be serious all the time. It can be happy, it can be joyous, it can be funny, it can be helpful, and I believe that Mary Roach's idea of death helped me learn and accepted the idea that we're all just gonna die one day, and it's gonna be okay. I recommend this book to anyone who's genuinely curious about human cadavers and what people use them for. Honestly, when I read this book, I was just so disgusted and scared of death. I used to never go to funerals because I was scared of people inside of them and coming out and scaring me. But honestly, like, this book helped me normalize death in the most normal and humanistic way possible, and Mary Roach did such a good job on explaining the ideas of human cadavers and what the benefit is towards society. While this book doesn't actually relate to American literature itself, I believe the idea and the message that is throughout this book relates to American literature because it normalizes death. America has been through many wars, and honestly, death was widespread. With the help of medical technology, death became very acceptable in society and soon became acceptable and normalized in our world where it is okay to talk about death, especially in a book. So yeah, that was my TED Talk on the book Sitff. Thank you for watching.